Yeah.
Raider, thank you,
Yeah.
Pam Raider. And Pam, how many studios do you have?
Well, we have Shift Power Yoga in Kelowna, we have in Vancouver, and then our Alberta studio was converted to what we call Shift at Home, an online platform. So
Oh, very cool.
three
Very
things
cool.
going there.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously you're in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was just saying to Pam how I don't intend to speak as if you're not here, but I just want to share with everyone, like I knew I wanted to speak on resiliency. Like I wanted to have a conversation around resiliency and also, fear, what it take, like there's something about fear, I think, that can stop people from being resilient or stop people from, whatever it is, where they keep showing up or picking themselves up and they get hit or they get the wind knocked out of them. They trip, they fall, they what have you, but somehow they keep coming back. They keep showing up. And when, I was like, I want to have this conversation. And it was like, Pam, somewhere your image came up in front of me. And I was like, oh, she's the one for this conversation. I've just seen you from a distance, over the years. I don't think I've actually been to your shift power yoga, right? No. Is the name of your studios. And I don't know that I've ever been to your studios, but I've seen you over the years in programs, starting with level 1. And over the years, I've just watched you. You're someone who is so committed to kind of your purpose in life. And I don't know that I don't want to speak. I don't know. I want to ask you. I don't know if you're even have always been aware of what your purpose is, and maybe that's been evolving for you. And we can get into that and talk about that. I'd like to hear about that. But regardless of what's going on for you over the years, I just have seen you as someone who you have a quality of resiliency, the ability to keep showing up, but not just showing up and dragging, like negative energy along, but showing up and really like curious on, okay, what's next? And how do I keep growing? How do I keep expanding and evolving who I am, what I'm up to, and the contribution I make in the world? So anyhow, welcome to Disrupting the Drift. Yeah. And again, just grateful for you to be here. Do you want to just tell everyone like a little bit of like, well, wait, I'm going to ask you a specific question.
Sure.
How many people do you think, so how long, first question, part of the question is, how long have you been teaching and like holding spaces for people where you lead classes, workshops, trainings, retreats, whatever expression or form? And then how many people, how many lives do you think you've reached or touched?
Oh boy. Well, I've been teaching for, my youngest boy is 23. He'll be 24 this year. So that many years, 23 years. I started teaching Journey into Power in 2001 or 2002, whenever the book came out. I didn't know anything about your yoga. I was teaching some yoga and I didn't really like it at all. It was just like to do it because it was a thing. And then I read your book and I was like, whoa, and I started teaching Journey into Power out of your book. And then classes would fill like 75 people and I had to get a bigger space and they were just coming and I didn't know anything. I was just like, just preaching right from your book, the 8 principles of stepping up to the edge and like what it meant to me. And it lit me up. So I carried on from there. And one day, it wasn't until 2010 that I was able to come and train with you. And just have never stopped.
So you had been teaching for several years before you came to your first level 1.
Yeah.
And I love that. Yeah, I love that because I always think it's better to be in the doing of it, the actioning of it, and you showing up and kind of exhausting what you can do on your own. And then when you come to a training like that, it's like, oh, so many lights must have been going off in your head, like how to kind of update or upgrade or apply what you already have been doing, but apply the I was going to say technology or methodology in a whole new way. Does that make sense? Like
totally. Yeah, that's exactly it. You can teach from like, you're ready now, right from the methodology, you're ready now. And then you can only take yourself so far, and you need some mentorship methodology. You need a community. You need guidance to expand. And the Baptiste programs have been just, I mean, the number of people that I've impacted is well in the thousands. I've trained hundreds and hundreds of teachers. I've taught thousands of students. I've coached hundreds of individuals, led 20,000 hours of facilitating programs. And that all came out of Baptiste yoga, the leadership that I got from the programs, from you, from the methodology. Like none of what I do would exist. And I'm not exaggerating. It's not flattery. It's like, that's a fact. None of what I do would exist on the planet. And therefore all those thousands of people wouldn't have been touched if I had never gone to level 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Oh, wow. So yeah, this is so good. So many things are going off in my mind right now that I want to ask you. But one thing, I just want, look, you all, I want to present something around what you just said for everybody, is that to keep showing up, like how you just described, over years in classes and trainings, there's a kind of there's a resiliency, there's a commitment, people have no idea who haven't done that, what you're describing. People who haven't done it have no idea what that takes. It takes a digging deeper, like how often, like all of the time, you know, examining yourself. Look, I know for myself, it's like, it's like none of that's easy, but it's preparatory for the next, as you keep showing up. Well, I show up today and it's preparatory for what's next, or for tomorrow. And if I learn from it, and I'm imagining, are you someone, I kind of am answering my own questions, I ask it, but are you someone who you're naturally someone who's committed to growing and learning?
Yeah, I get restless if I'm not, and not from a place of lack. I'm just kind of perpetually, like, I'm very content, very grateful, but also perpetually unsatiated, you know?
Yeah.
I like that's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so for me, like, to keep showing up like that, you have to have a reverence for something bigger than yourself. And reverence is really the word. Like, when I came to level 1, I was broken. Like my life was a mess. I'd been through a lot. Like everybody's been through a lot. I've been through a lot. And I really was like, this saved my life. These are tools that can help the planet. And I felt like I had the cure for cancer or diabetes or something in my hands. And it was completely necessary for me to share these tools in every way that I possibly could. It became a responsibility. Once I received the medicine, it became a responsibility for me. And I took that really seriously. And what I know about resiliency, like to show up in resiliency, is that you have to have practices and things that you do, like the methodology and asana, inquiry, meditation, because that's putting money in the spiritual bank, in the physical bank, in the mental bank, so that when the storms come, and as you know they will, then you've got some fortification. Yeah. But so many people have this myth that resiliency comes from like hard times. No, hard times can make victims and traumas, or like hard times don't make resiliency. Yeah. Preparation does. Yeah. Commitment does.
Yeah. And having tools.
Yeah.
And practices, right?
Yes.
Like you said, practices that can ground you, like ground wires, get your feet back on Earth, planet Earth, and have these tools that you utilize in your own leading of yourself and in your own life. But then as you share them with others, lead others in them as a teacher, instructor, what have you, they expand. Like I like to say, what we give away expands in us. You know, what we share, it's like teaching's the greatest teacher in a way. Yeah. And it's like that. But so much of the world right now, I see like they don't have tools. Like people are bouncing off the walls. Like almost everyone I talk to in general, whether they're in wellness world or yoga world or entrepreneurs or business or just parents or whatever they're kind of what they're dealing with, people are suffering. The world, like whether it's post-pandemic and related to that, or, you know, what's happening in the economy and what's happening with there's more, you know, suicides way up, off the charts, you know, people, anxiety, depression, like what people are dealing with in the world right now. It's like, well, not only to have those tools and practices for ourselves, but to be able to share those and make some kind of difference. Would you say that resiliency kind of rises in the space of that? Like, as you're doing your own practice, and sharing them with others, it actually creates its own kind of resiliency, because you almost like need to keep showing up and making a difference, something like that.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, what's coming to me is just that resiliency is actually contagious too. When you share your resiliency, when you share what you've overcome and your triumphs, and that and you keep showing up, it inspires others to do the same. And so we really need the resilient people in the world to like show up right now.
Yeah.
Stop waiting for whatever they're waiting for and just show up. And I just have this belief that if you said it years and years and years ago, and you've probably said it thousands of times, I don't know, but there was 200 people in the room and I was sure you said it right to me. Like, if not you, then who? And if not now, then when? And I just operate my life that way. I'm like, well, somebody's got to go first. I guess it'll be me.
Yeah.
And I have found it's contagious. So I've got this amazing team around me that's resilient. And then my students are so resilient, and, you know, it's just, it grows.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I want to ask you that question. So how much of like having resiliency, I want to get into, you know, dealing with fear in the face of like your commitment to continually showing up. But I also want to ask about people, because you speak to the people around you, because, you know, one thing I've learned is that like, it's so important to have, if you're a leader, it's so important to have people around you that elevate you, that encourage you, that raise you up, that, you know, like bolster you in the background. Like it's very important. And if you don't have that, then the default can be that you have people that are what I call dragon people. You know, they drag on, they're drag-ons. They drag you back or they drag you down. But do you want to just, how much around resiliency in showing up as a leader, like how much do you see the people around you play into that?
It's everything. So to me, resiliency has two parts. It's got practices, and where you're, you know, I meditate every day. I've got practices coming out my ears, and mostly from Baptiste yoga, and I'm committed to that because it makes me more resilient. But the second piece, you can't have resiliency without community. You know, you think about a herd of horses is far more resilient than one wild horse, or a pack of wolves far more resilient than a lone wolf. And so the community around me is everything. And what I've learned is I never hire the skill when it comes to my team. I hire the heart. And even if I feel like hitting myself in the head with a brick while I'm training them to get the skill, I keep the heart. And all of my team members have been with me from the beginning, and we've never had any issues because I just trust that deeply. And I surround myself with just these amazing people that are kinder than me, that are more enthusiastic than me, that make me feel like I need to elevate myself on the daily. And they keep me in check. Like if I'm offside, they tell me, you know, and so important.
Oh, very good. Yeah, very good. I love that. And then how about fear? So let's talk a little bit about fear, like confronting. So let me just step back a little bit here. I just led the first level 1 session today. You know, Pino, I think.
I know Pino.
Yeah. And so
great.
Pino and I are leading this level 1, and we just got out of our first session today. People can still join, by the way, if you want to. I guess they extended registration for another day, but we've got a beautiful group of people, big group, biggest group we've had in a long time. But what was there, I asked people, what brought you here? You know, why are you here? And just do some bigger thinking around why are you here? What brought you here? Is it fear? Did fear bring you? Like fear, if you don't grow, you could be stuck where you are? Is it fear that brought you here? Is it inspiration? Is it desperation? Is it, well, you just want to get education, greater education, whatever it is, you know, what brought you here? Let's just, you know, hear from you a little bit. And we heard a lot from a lot of people, but something that was there for almost everyone is fear. Fear, like the fear of going to the next level, the fear of to continue showing up and not expanding or not growing or evolving as a leader. Because I could see people quit at a certain point if fear's running the show. I know for myself, if I'm going to quit, it's likely connected to some kind of fear. The fear that I'm going to fail, the fear I'm going to look foolish, the fear that they're not going to like me, the fear of, looking bad or not looking good. But what do you see about if you had to confront fear on the regular, like as a part of your journey of showing up continually? Do you want to speak a little bit about fear?
Yeah. I mean, we all have it. It's present. It's a part of us. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is to wait for fear to go away to do something. Fear is here. It will be here. And I think of it like a 2-year-old toddler throwing a tantrum. And you would like maybe acknowledge, of course you would acknowledge the toddler, but you're not going to give them the keys to your car. So it's like making friends with like fear is going to be there. And so that's where these practices of, you know, the methodology, what are you a yes for? Give up what you must, come from your ready now. If those are in your bones, in the moment fear's here, you can say, okay, fear's here. And what am I a yes for? And fear's here. And what do I need to give up to move forward towards that yes? And fear's here. And what action am I willing to take right now anyway? Fear's not going anywhere. You know, and so that's how I, you know, what the methodology's really done for me is taught me to stop trying to suppress fear or get rid of fear or numb fear or chase it away or sage it out or something. I'm just like, okay, fear is here and we're doing this anyway. And the more I practice that, the more, I rather than confronting fear, like I guess that's confronting it, but I think it's probably just like making friends with it and knowing that it's coming along for the ride.
Yeah. Very good. I love that it's coming along for the ride. It's not necessarily getting rid of fear. I mean, we would all love that. We'd all like that. That would be ideal. And I know in my own life, there are a lot of things that I used to have fear around or fear for or fear about. That's just not around. And I could think back, oh yeah, back then I used to be afraid of that, like getting in front of groups or on a stage, different stages or whatever the thing was. But there's something about, I love what you said, like just acknowledging that, well, fear's likely just going to be here. And then the tools, like you shared, there are tools to deal with the fear, like right here in this moment, like what am I up to in my life that's important to me? Like, what do I want to have happen in this situation in this moment? And because that's what I'm a yes for, right? But there's this fear overbearing or, you know, kind of hanging over me. And if I could acknowledge that fear, you know, what can bring it into view and see, okay, I've got fear. I don't have to fight it, try to get rid of it, resist it. I can acknowledge it, be with it, let it be. And then maybe it'll let me be. And whether it lets me be or not, I can do the thing I want to do right now. Like when? Like right now. Just take the actions, the steps now in the face of fears here or not. But I know like resisting it hasn't worked, but the presencing of what you're speaking, having tools to deal with fear, dance with it, step in front of it, or let it just be there, do its thing, but you're going to do your thing and what's important to you, what's really a yes in your being and heart, right? Like that.
Yeah. I see this piece one of the connections in the methodology that's led me there is the first of the organizing principles, and be intentional in creating the physical foundation of the pose and being up to something bigger than yourself. But I like translate that to everything in my life. Be intentional in creating the foundation of my relationships and in being up to something bigger than myself and my businesses. and my conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and I just put that in first.
Mm-hmm.
And then fear can be here, but I'm intentional. So I'm connected with my highest intention first. I just take a minute and go like, what really is the highest good here?
Yeah.
For all.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Do you still teach classes? Like you teach power
I'm
yoga
pretty busy,
classes? Yeah.
but I still teach about like 3 or 4. I try to get in for 4. I love it still. It's like I like dance with the one that brought you. I love teaching Baptiste yoga so much. And like when I saw Brandon talking yesterday, I was like, I get that excited too. He's so cute and he gets so excited about it. And I'm like, I still love to teach Journey into Power more than anything.
Yeah. I know. There's just a magic, right? It's like, it's visceral, it's palpable, the energy of it when you're in a room and you're leading it and it's coming right out of your bones and to others and with others. There's something just so unique about that. And partly why I asked that is because if there is fear there, let's say there's fear here, and I show up to teach a class and the fear's here, and then I have that ability to, acknowledge it, like the tools to acknowledge it and be like what you said, I have this higher intention, like that first organizing principle of true north alignment, be intentional in creating the physical foundation. Okay, I'm in the classroom. My feet are on the ground here. I'm at the front of the room. There are people on their mats there. Or if you're giving a talk, people are there and they're in their seats and you're at the front of the room. But so there's a physical foundation and you create that structure purposefully. And then you're up to something bigger than yourself. But if you have the tools to put in the moment, like you spoke to Journey into Power sequence. So even if there's fear there, but you have the training, you have the development. So it's like, okay, downward dog pose, flip dog, crescent lunge, Surya Namaskara A, Surya Namaskara B, balance, eagle pose, dancer's pose, tree pose, triangle pose, twisting triangle. I can start getting in front of my fear. I'm acting and the fear it just disappears for me. But even, if the fear's in the background, I have tools. I can apply something in the physical universe that's objective, right? These tools, like do the pose and people follow that pose and then they're growing. But do you notice that creates its own kind of resiliency because you have training, you have know-how, you have technical knowledge, a method that you share and you're trained in. And it's like whatever's going on in my life, whatever I'm dealing with, fear or upset, or I can step in front of it and still lead because I have the training.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
The training holds me up. I don't hold it up. Like I learned a long time ago, I'm not smarter than the methodology. I'm not going to make up any sequence better than Journey into Power. And so the training just holds me up so that I can, it's in my bones. And that's through the practices. It's in my bones. I couldn't forget it if I got amnesia. I practice it, live it, breathe it every day. And so when it's in my bones, I can get out in front of it and just start teaching what I know. And the fear, I know there's a lot of fear of rejection and fear that people won't like you and they won't like it. And fear will come up for me. If I'm being really authentic, I'll start to entertain. I start to entertain instead of just teaching. And I can hear it coming out of my mouth. And then I just got to get grounded. I get grounded in my feet, grounded in the pillars, and use the tools. The methodology brings you right back. It brings you right back.
Yeah, very good. What are the pillars? Just so for people who don't know, you want to just press the 5 pillars, right?
Yeah, the 5 pillars of Baptiste yoga are first Ujjayi, Drishti.
Drishti is the gaze.
Ujjayi.
People don't know. Ujjayi is the breath.
The breath. Bandha's foundation, hands, feet, and core. And then we've got the heat, tapas, and vinyasa, flow. And when you get grounded in your drishti and your ujjayi and your feet as a teacher, and you stand in the fear and do it anyway, you get flow.
Yeah, there's a fire that rises up.
Yeah.
An expansive heat.
Yeah.
And oh, I love that.
Good.
Yeah.
The methodology makes me so happy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, totally. Right. Well, for me, it allows for just freedom. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
on this level one call earlier, I was speaking to one of the participants, and she was saying, I'm really well trained in a lot of different yoga styles. And she said, but there's something when I teach Journey to Power that I feel a kind of freedom, creative freedom to bring themes I want to bring forward. And I said, I get that. I know that in my experience. I'm like, it's like, I never teach the same Journey to Power, the same class twice, like ever. It's always, and it's like because what's arising in the moment there from the bodies in the room, myself, it's like what arises there is fresh, new, in real time. It's like as lived experience. And then I'm just free to be with people, like free to just be in the moment and create like an artist, create what's there the theming or like whatever I want to land there that's maybe important to me, like just what's going on in my life in a way that it's like, okay, I would want more freedom in the moment. So how can I support people here? Just let's all get more freedom, because I know if I'm going through it, likely there's others in the room that would work for, or I can just see what people need in the moment. Like I'm freed up because the methodology, it's subjective. So I'm freed up to actually be more effective, more intuitive, more true to what's needed versus just pouring on like molasses, imposing an agenda on people. It's like the methodology frees me up to just be there with people and create and really be of service, like what's wanted and needed.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like it frees me up that sometimes something else comes through me, like it's
Yeah.
not, it's something bigger. And then you create something, you're like, and you feel like you were in the class with like, whoa, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So it's magic because it holds you up as a teacher. If you do the work and keep, as I love what you guys talked about yesterday, like if you're not in the practices, if you're not living the methodology, like every single day in your life, it'll get old and stale and sound flat. You got to be living it. But if you're living it, it'll always hold you up in front of fear as a teacher.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. I appreciate that a lot. Wait, when did you open your first studio?
My first studio, we opened in 2013, so 10 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. Congratulations. That takes something. That really
Yeah.
takes something of resilience and commitment. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very grateful, but it's I built the whole thing from that one piece of methodology: be intentional and be up to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And so community is what it's there for. It's community is the most important thing, and the community came through for us the last 3 years, so we're really, really grateful.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I imagine the years prior to the pandemic were probably preparatory in you as leader, your resiliency, your strength of being to when the pandemic hit. I can't imagine it was easy, especially in Vancouver and different places in Canada. There was a lot of shutdown. I don't know exactly, but
oh yeah, we just shut everything down.
Yeah. Couldn't have been easy.
Well, I'll tell you what, because I built a community and my teams were so amazing. We got onto Zoom the day after I got home from the Baptiste Global Summit, which was like the day that the world shut down. And within 24 hours, we had 25 classes a week up and running on a full platform on Zoom because of community, because our team worked together and said, how can we serve? How can we continue to do this?
Amazing.
And so we just we leaned on each other. And the the other thing, part of this is that a lot of people, when they get into Baptiste yoga, they're like, well, how's it going to go? Because nobody knows what Baptiste yoga is where I'm from. Nobody knew what it was in Western Canada either. And I opened my big mouth and said, I'm going to show them what Baptiste yoga is in Western Canada. And I say all these things in public, and now I go, oops, now I got to do it. And so, but you got to be consistent and you got to show up, and you can't be deterred when people are like, it's too hard, or it's like fast, or it's, all the things that come up, and you got to keep showing up so that to build something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure, were there times in there you wanted to quit?
Oh, for sure. Halfway through the pandemic, I was like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this again? Somebody remind me, you know? And that's where having team around you is so amazing, because there's always one that's still a cheerleader.
Yeah. That's important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah. I
sure.
relate. I mean, I'm so grateful to people I had around me that with just institute team, and then other people from the community that, I've had a long time relationship with, that just so extraordinary as friends, and propping up and just being super supportive in every kind of sense. That pretty amazing. It takes that, and then leaning into your own practice, I'm sure I know it did for me, but I'm sure that played, whatever that looked like. But I'm sure you leaned into practices, your own well-being as a leader. Yeah.
Well, I looked around too, and I saw a lot of crap going on during the pandemic, and that's when sort of cancel culture and all that really like geared up. And I just thought, if something was happening to me around that through this, what kind of friend would I want to have? And I tried to be that friend for other people. And I think that we can all contribute to other people's resiliency if we show up for them in their hardest moments. That contributes to their ability to be resilient.
Yeah.
I think that's an important part. If we want to be a cause of resiliency, then it's not just for us, it's supporting others.
Yeah. Is there some part of you that enjoys the fight? And I don't mean it like fight in an aggressive or violent sense, but the spiritual kind of fight for what's right, the spiritual fight for what's good, the fight for truth. The street fight for your soul. Is there some part, like, are you a warrior in that sense? And maybe not. I'm just wondering if that's there for you.
I fully am. I dig that. I'll tell you what, as a yoga teacher for so many years, people find it hilarious to know that the Rocky movies are my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
I've watched them 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I love to, like, again, if not me, then who, right?
Yeah.
Who's gonna do it? And please come with me, everyone. Yeah. But I will go first. I love, I think at some point it was back years ago, for validation and look at me and all of that. And it just, like, at some point that just goes away, and it's just like, well, this is what's right. And well, of course we're going to do this. I love that.
Yeah.
I like the thrill of it, the triumph and and even the muck of it, to be honest. I'm at this place now where if I find out some blind spot or some crappy part about myself, I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because then I can do something about it. I love that. Fight.
Yeah, you do, right? You get, I know there's something in me. I don't know. I'm just wired. I enjoy it. Something, it converts when people pressure or put something like opposition. I just like, wow, this is energy I get to grow from. Whether it's leading a program or, out there dealing with life, the world, conflict, opposition. I know I look somehow through a lens of like, and I wonder, like, even through the pandemic, people are coming after me, or people close to me. And I was just wondering, I'm like, wow, I wonder if others are they doing like, I feel stronger as a result. And I'm wondering, do others feel stronger? And then as I talk to more people, I could see some people do, they get elevated from it, like myself. Like, I wonder how others are doing with it. And then some people really, take it hard. They're maybe not designed for the fight, the spiritual kind of warfare, maybe like that, biblical, or the Bhagavad Gita, like, there's a spiritual kind of warfare. It's a street fight for our soul. And if we know we're being right and doing right, people can lie and, whatever they do, but it's like, there's something that you rise up, through the manure or the sewage that actually makes you stronger, like the lotus flower is something coming up and out. So anyhow, but I want to say this. I think there's something about being a leader in the world that's the best kind of training, whether you're teaching Baptiste power yoga, or you're leading teams, or you're working with others and you're pushing through opposition. that resiliency becomes the best personal development or spiritual development program on the planet. And you learn to convert opposition into transformation, growth, new discovery, learning, like that.
You know, I look back at all the trainings I've done, and anytime I've had opposition, those are the times when I had to go inside and look, like, was there something there for me, or was that just their stuff? And you get more resilient from that. And this one thing you did actually say to me, I was standing in a mic at one of our trainings, and you said, Pam, if you're not pissing people off, you're not doing anything. And I was like, awesome. And I'm doing something.
Good work. Yeah. Right. Disrupting the drift. Yeah. Piercing the numbness, beginning with our own, and then out in the world, and the people that are for that and want to be a part of that journey into power with you. Awesome. And the ones who don't, like, success to them, wellness to them, health to them, and bye-bye to them. They're just not your people, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Really good. Any last words just on resiliency? And I just want to put out, you all, they extended registration for level 1. So I think it's probably pinned in the comments, but or just go to baptistejourneytopower.com. Love to have you in this one. I'm not sure when I think it closes tomorrow or something. But Pam, any last words about resiliency or anything like that?
Yeah, the thing I would say about resiliency is, to develop it, you have to take action. You can't wait for resilience. Resiliency comes with action. So even if it's a small step, and signing up for level 1 Baptiste yoga, it might seem like a big step to you, but it'll be the best step you ever made in your entire life. Nothing will be the same. Everything in your future will be altered. And if you want to talk about resilience, it's hard as hell, and you'll get some.
Yeah.
But you have to take the action. I mean, you're either waiting or creating. And if you're waiting, resilience isn't coming to find you. Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah. No, I love that. There's something about investing in yourself, your own development and growth. So you keep expanding rather than the alternative is we're contracting. Yeah. Very good. Well, thank you so much. So glad this worked out. I know, super spontaneous. It was like, was it yesterday or something?
Yeah.
Reach out. Hey.
Okay, I can do that. Sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful hanging out with you.
Yeah. So good. You be well. And hello to all your community. I know you've created just an amazing community there in Canada. And just real quick, where can people find you?
Yeah, so shiftpoweryoga.com. I'm in Kelowna, and then we have a studio in Vancouver. I'll be teaching at our Vancouver studio on Saturday. I'm heading down there. So
I love it. Wait, and did you come out with a book in the last year or something?
Yeah. I wrote a book called Through the Cracks, and talks quite a bit about Baptiste yoga in there, and the power of it. And there's a lot. If you're interested in resiliency, read the book, and you'll maybe find some inspiration around that.
Yeah, beautiful. What's the name of it? Through the Cracks?
Through the Cracks.
Okay.
Yeah, on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Love it. One author to another. I see you. Very good.
Thank you.
All right. You take care. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Peace out. Hopefully I'll see you in level 1. Do the thing and have the power. All right. Take care. Yeah. Bye-bye.